couple months ago, I had a friend who was going through, a really difficult time in their life. They kind of felt like, you know, what they were going through, in a sense, no one understood it. No one got it. No one, you know what I'm saying? Like, no one kind of, for the most part, had words for it. And my friend was really struggling a lot. And my heart was so grieved and so moved for them, because I'm like, God is the answer. At the end of the day, I know God has a word for them. So I just went to pray, and I said, God, you know what? What do they need to hear? Or what's going on with them? Like, what can I tell them that'll be encouraging? And he just gave me one word, and he said, puberty. Puberty. And I'm sitting here like, all right, God. My friend's really going through it. Like, what is that? What does that mean? It's got to be something deeper there. And he was showing me, he was saying, son, like, what happens during puberty? Like that time of your life when you're going through puberty. And he was showing me how it's a time in our lives where a lot of things are changing. A lot of things are happening. Things are shifting. Things are moving. Things are growing. You're growing. You're literally in a season of your life, in a sense, where so much is happening to you, the way you think, your body. There's so much happening that you get to this place where you kind of feel like it's just you. And you don't want to really talk about it to nobody, because it is a little weird. It's some of the stuff that's going on. And they have to deal with some private areas of our life, in a sense. And we don't always necessarily go to our parents with what's going on with our bodies or what's going on in our lives during that time. Sometimes we don't even go to our friends, because essentially we feel like we're the only ones having this weird experience called puberty. And even without knowing what's going on, we didn't know it was actually puberty. We just knew stuff was changing, stuff was happening. Some of it was painful. Some of it was kind of uncomfortable. But essentially, it's a weird time in our lives where we're not necessarily talking to people about it. And God was showing me with this particular person that they were essentially going through puberty, in a sense, in their life, where so much was happening, so much was changing, so much was shifting. Essentially, they were just growing. And he was showing me that the thing that kind of makes puberty make sense is when we speak up. When we actually tell someone what's going on. When we actually say, hey, this was what's happening to me. This was happening to my body. And in speaking up, we quickly see that we're not alone. That there are others who have went through this or are going through it. Because in that age group, our friends were also going through it, but no one was saying nothing. And then on top of that, he was showing me how when we speak up, when we share these things, we recognize that it's also normal. Like, it's actually normal for these things to be actually taking place. And I thought that was so beautiful. And he was showing me how, this person, he was trying to teach them to speak up. Teach them to not stay to themselves when they're going through these changes, when they're going through these shiftings, and these things are happening, and these uncomfortable feelings, and all these things are happening, and they're not talking to anybody. And so essentially they can go through this season of their life and just feel alone and feel like no one understands, no one gets it. But essentially all they had to do is actually tell somebody, just talk to somebody. And obviously after hearing that explanation from God, I'm like, wow, God, like, that's so beautiful. Like, I can easily resonate with that. Like, there's times in my life where I can just think that going through it alone is better. Experiencing pain, being uncomfortable, our mind automatically goes to, no one else gets this, no one else goes through this. But in just by speaking up, you always run into somebody that's like, nah, I know about that. Like, I've been through that. Or, hey, I'm going through that as well. And immediately it comforts you, knowing that you're not alone. And this thing that's taking place is normal. It's supposed to happen. And then on top of that, this thing that's happening is good. You're just growing. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's so special, and something that God's been really dealing with me on when it comes to speaking up. Sometimes we don't speak up because we feel like we have no one to talk to. And there's this thing that I learned that I think really helps us get a proper interpretation of who we should talk to, who we should speak to, who we should share our heart with. And it's, think about the people around you that will be least surprised by the real you. Think about the people around you that would be least surprised by the real you. As in, when they see you, they don't go, oh, that's Ash. No, they go, oh, that's just Ash. It's my boy. Like, I know him. Those are the people. And we may not have a lot of people like that, but to God be the glory for those two, maybe those three. Those people that you know that have your heart, they know you. They've been able to see different sides of you. They don't judge you. You see what I'm saying? Where you're able to confide in them and trust that whatever you share with them, they're going to cover, they're going to protect. Because the reality is we have to guard our hearts. The Bible says to guard your heart above all else, because the issues of life flow from that place. But I think a lot of our pain came from who we told something to. The depths of our heart, we revealed to somebody who couldn't be trusted. And when we experience that betrayal, when we experience that person who stabbed us in the back using things that we told them in private, it makes us, not only just get trust issues, but we automatically take that moment and situation to every one of our relationships. So I don't talk to people because they use it against you, or I don't talk to people because they'll tell your business, all these reasons. But there are people that God has assigned to us that we can talk to. And I think that in that journey in your life, when you're going through so many changes and things around you are changing, or you may be in pain, or things that are happening, staying to yourself, the battlefield of the mind, I often find out that's oftentimes where we lose. When we keep it in our head and we don't open up our mouths and speak up and just let somebody know, hey, I need help. Hey, I'm going through this right now. I'm going through this trying time. But by doing so, recognizing that, number one, what's happening to you is very normal. What's happening to you, you're not alone in. Other people have gone through it. There is an answer. There is a solution. There's help. And to God be the glory. You see the benefits of doing life with people, doing life together. Because especially when you're going through a trying time, I always tell people, think about how crazy this time is of your life, but imagine doing it alone. You know what I'm saying? And it's so beautiful when we can recognize the people that God has sent to us and put in our paths to kind of do life with us. Even if it's one, even if it's two. Sometimes we want this huge community of people, but that'll keep us from recognizing the two people that have been there, that have shown up. And it's powerful. And I think that's something that, I think is a word for a lot of people right now. Sounds crazy, but puberty. You know what I'm saying? In a time in your life where things are changing and you're growing and things are happening and you just need someone to make sense of it, you got to open up your mouth and you got to speak up. I think that's powerful, bro.